Hey there. So, next phase in our mold issue, dealing with our mold issue. Thus far, if you've been following along, you see we had Matt from A Plus Mold Inspections. We've had Armando from Sandy Effect Environmental come in. So that was the mold inspector and the mold remediator. After Armando was finished the other day, he recommended that we get a leak detector in here to figure out where the water is coming from. So Keith with above and below leak detection has been here for the last hour, looking around, taking a look to see what it is that is causing this mold to pop up. I just wanted to allow Keith an opportunity to share with everybody what it is, a plumber leak detector, what role they play when it comes to dealing with mold issues. Keith, thanks for coming by.
Thank you. In this situation, we always look for, the easiest thing is how, what, and why. Why the water's there, how did it get there? In this situation, we start out, we look at the meter on this building to make sure if we have a plumbing leak or almost like a structural leak. In the first part of this, we looked at the meter, we verified the meter was static, not moving, so that we knew that it wasn't a plumbing leak. So then we have to take it farther, is what would cause this type of leak and how is it associated with the mold that's going on. As we were inspecting this situation, we found a breakdown of the shower pan in this unit. So what happens is every time you take a shower, water's going down the tile past the shower pan, which then causes mold and water around the seams of the shower. Also gets up underneath the tub and in the walls in this situation. Look for any kind of exposed grouting, exposed cracking type situation where water can go down the wall, can go at any situation to cause this problem. The biggest thing is maintenance of your grout and your joints for your shower and your tubs. That right there will stop a lot of the issues that we see with the walls and this type of situation. It's preventative, then you won't have any issues with mold.
It's a really interesting point you make, because a lot of times we're taking a look at all these different houses. I've been in the thousands of houses, right? Help people buy hundreds of houses. Most people, they look at the grout and it's ugly if it's cracked. But I've never thought it to be such a big issue that, if the grout is broken or the seals around the tub or those types of things are deteriorated, it's really a bigger issue than people might actually realize. Is that right?
Yeah, it could start out as a small crack, but the thing is when water gets in there, it debonds. It gets in there, the moisture's there, so then it opens up. It gets more of a crack, it's more of an area for it to travel. You might have started small, which then that small gets bigger because the water got in there. It moves things. You've got hardy board, you got drywall situations. When it does that, it does a lot of different things where it's not wholly solid anymore.
Yeah.
So if you see that little bit of a crack, it can be an inch crack, but that can start your process. So any time that situation it's just easier for you to re-seal that situation, then you don't have the majors going on like in this property here.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier a water meter. Can you explain a little bit more about how that comes into play and what your observation?
Every unit, let me backtrack. In most houses and most condos, there's a water meter associated with every unit. It basically is an indicator of what flow is going through the unit. So you're billed based on your meter movement. If there's an actual pressure leak, that meter is going to have movement over a period of time. Even if it's a small leak, if it's a small leak, you want to observe it for a half hour minimum, see if there's any kind of movement. That little bit of movement will show that one, you either have a leak in the pipe, or two, you have a toilet that could be leaching water down, just not as strong enough for you to hear it. So that's the first indication for us to figure out is it plumbing or is it structural based on the situation that falls.
So if that meter is moving, that means you've got an active leak in your plumbing.
Yeah.
So this type of water damage can come from a couple different places, either a crack and the breakdown in the grout in the shower, or the active leak of some plumbing.
It could be a pipe above or below the concrete. Water will come up past the concrete if it's been seeping that long. It could be a joint in the wall, or, a failure in a joint, copper deteriorating, and you get a small pinhole that starts to do that.
How do you come into play afterwards? What's the next step as far as the leak detector is concerned, and how do you move the process along?
Depending on what we find is how we advise. If it comes to a pressure leak, normally if we can find it below the concrete, or we can find them above. We have equipment that can do it either way. If it's below the concrete, then what we do is we mark it, and then that's when a plumber comes in, and then you have to decide with the plumber is, do you fix it in place underneath the concrete, break up there, or they run new pipes in the walls to solve that problem. When it comes into like a structural like this, then it's what caused it, who do you need to see next to fix that problem so it doesn't happen in that situation. And that's some of the suggestions that we give to help the homeowner for now and in the future.
And what role do you play with insurance companies?
Basically what our role is we kind of prove the problem. We're there to say this is what it is. We documenting everything from here to there, so that way when insurance sends an adjuster out, they might send even their own leak detection out also, but otherwise it's better to have the homeowner have an independent leak detection, because then they have the initial paperwork. If you don't have that initial document with them, then the insurance can go, okay, well, we don't know where it came from. So then we can deny your claim because we have no proof. You're going through insurance. Leak detection is almost 99% covered by the insurance company. So you hand them your paperwork, they will cover that fee for reimbursement.
Anything else we can share that I forgot to ask you? Anything about your job, your profession, anything?
Look at your properties. Every person, and I'm the same way, is look around for anything that looks like water's been in walls. Baseboards peeling up, paint peeling off the walls, something that looks abnormal to you, or stains that look abnormal to you. If you see stains, stuff like that, you want somebody to come in there and check out your property, so that way you don't have issues of mold like this, because you can almost preempt to see this stuff and for the most part, so you'll be able to stop this and not have the big problem, the big reconstruction to fix the problem.
As they say, an ounce prevention is worth a pound of cure, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Excellent, man. Thanks a lot for all your time.
Thank you.
If you've been following along so far, you can see that mold can be a little bit of a tricky issue to deal with. Far more complex, I think, definitely more complex than I realized. I think what I'm starting to learn is that, maintenance is one of the most, important factors in prevention of these, what can be a very costly issue. So glad that you've been following along so far. We're going to take it to the next step, which is we're going to start the remediation process. So we're going to take you through that. Stay tuned.